Hey, everybody, welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs podcast. My name is Greg, and this channel, of course, is dedicated to news and commentary for your Washington football team, whether you call them the Redskins or you call them the Commanders. Maybe some people still call them the Washington football team. Whatever you call them. Hopefully, sometime soon we'll call them champions. Who knows? But with that said, if you're enjoying this channel, please consider subscribing and supporting this channel. We could use all the support we could possibly get, but we can also use those views. So stay with us, have a conversation with us. And with that said, I want to get into this because, we put out a video about the new rendering of the RFK 2.0, as I call it. And there was a little bit more released last week. I couldn't really get to this last week, so I want to get to this this week. And of course, there was more renderings that was released out on X from Tom Schad, and he said it's a 35-page document that has been submitted to the National Capital Planning Commission for review. And there's just a few things I want to try to show you a little bit of this. And by now, I'm sure you've seen this. But it's going over the materials that the stadium will be built from. Number one, you'll have a transparent membrane for the roof. Okay, so that means it's like I called it before, and I'm putting my stamp on it as a trademark. It is a greenhouse stadium, as I like to call it. You're going to have pretty much the greenhouse effect with this translucent type of uh, roof. It will not be retractable. It'll be followed up by a single cable roof. So you'll have a membrane on top of it. And maybe that membrane, I don't know how, it says it's transparent. And then, of course, the roof will be under that. ETFE detail, I'm not sure what that is. Construction people would probably understand that a little bit better than me. Transitional colonnade. What is this? I call it a hallway. So transitional hallway. I'm going to look at, I don't know if you can really see it in the video, but that looks sick. I mean, it's like this futuristic type of columns, built up steel structure, just to kind of keep everything together. And you could also see what they're talking about, as they call concrete ribs. This membrane of the shell, which would be underneath a compression ring, and then the roof. This is what's going to give this, as you can see right here, is what's going to give it the RFK shape. This is what RFK, the original one, kind of looked like. Then the glazing, as they call it, it's basically the outside walls of what RFK is going to look like. Then you go back over here, concrete structures, huge, beautiful looking DC architectural type of columns and stairs. Entrance glazing, as they call it. I'm not sure what that means, but it just looks pretty sick. And I would know because I'm sick right now. But operable glass doors. So what that tells me, it's kind of like what we said in the last video. We may have mentioned this, like barn doors. So you can open up the stadium during the nice weather months and let a lot of the outside air flow into the stadium. So it feels like you're outside. You don't feel like you're in a completely inside enclosed structure like like a traditional dome stadium was, like Silver Dome or Metro Dome or you know, places like that. This actually will feel more like you're in a greenhouse, like you're still outside, but you're inside. You know, you're safe from the elements is basically what it is. Of course, they're going to have landscaping around the stadium, um, and team store amenities. So obviously, yes, you're going to have team store there. Um, trying to see if and you got some other renderings. So picture this, people walking toward the stadium out in the front lawn. Um, and it just looks like something that would be in Washington D.C. I mean, um, this again gives you a little bit more of a detail of what it's going to look like when you have fans out there. People talk about tailgating. Maybe it would be a bad thing. I don't know, but I'm like, if there's like this huge yard in front of the stadium, why couldn't you have some, tailgating? Actually, I see what it looks like to be tailgating out here. It's like, uh, why, why couldn't you not have tailgating out through here? Um, it looks like something that would be, better than a parking lot. I'd actually enjoy tailgating out on grass, but then again, the cleanup would be horrible. Um, these are just more renderings, and then of course, a view of the stadium from the Capitol building. Um, I mean, that just looks like it fits. It looks absolutely stunning, and it's Washington D.C. I mean, that's where, I mean, that's true Redskin stuff. That's Washington Redskin stuff, and I love this. I think that this could be something great. Now, of course, here's you can see the full document here. We're not going to go through this whole document, um, but there is a document out there. If you want to go through and read the whole thing, maybe I'll do that while I'm kind of sitting back and continuing to recover. But they're going through the history of the site, showing you the existing. So again, you see the what RFK used to look like, the original one. Right there's a training facility right here. Um, I do have I do have a marker I can use, but I'm not going to do that in this video. And of course, you see the demolition of the old site, um, and then the four floor plans, existing tree survey. I'm sure that they're either going to plant new ones, they want to try to keep what they can. So it's more than just a stadium. It's the architecture, but it's also the landscaping around it. They want to make it look like a natural area, and I tend to like that. I'm not a city person, so just to make it look like a city, I'm just not into that. Of course, a connection to a local and regional park system. It's pretty cool. Architectural design drivers. You can read up on all of this. There's a lot to cover. So I think if if you were on the fence about any of this stuff, and you just think of it as, oh, they're just going to put a dorm in, a dome, not a dorm, a dome. Read up on this. I think this will probably give you enough details where you kind of start to understand why they're doing this. Architectural design drivers, again, looking at Lincoln Memorial, the Capitol building, just, places around DC. That's where they're drawing from, and that's how it should be. It should be a part of DC. It should not just be this weird, futuristic, alien looking type of spaceship, from renderings that you saw during the Dan Snyder days. So, existing view from the west, drawings. You can see the trees here. So I love that. Of course, this is part of where he got the picture from. This is from the waterfront view of things. This is kind of what it would look like off the water. Beautiful reflection off of the water. I mean, that's pretty sick. Although, I hope that there's something. I hope there's a little bit of a barrier in place between the water and the stadium property, because you get some drunk people out there. That's not going to be good. Just looks beautiful. Looks very beautiful. You can kind of see what things look like when RFK was there. I mean, I didn't realize how close RFK was. It looks a little bit, actually, it looks a little bit smaller in this rendering, but I know it won't be. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is a great site here. You're seeing the Capitol. Um, you see monuments, Washington Monument out there. I mean, like, that's DC. That is where the team should have been all along. Um, just a lot. I said I wasn't going to go through this whole thing. Well, we're not reading it, you know, word for word. But just to kind of give you details, little fine details of floor plans and things like that. Parking, I know that this is going to be something that's always on people's minds. It's not going to be as much parking, but you are going to have access to public transportation from what we saw, which will be great. And again, they talk about the public transportation, talk about parking, leaving the stadium, coming and going from the stadium. Um, you know, how will the pedestrians? How will you walk to the stadium? What avenues and things like that. Um, so just a lot. I mean, they haven't left out. There's really nothing they have left out from this. This is all big boy stuff. I don't remember seeing any of this stuff with Dan Snyder. Of course, maybe none of this would have been out there had he actually gotten accepted for a site. So anyway, I'm not going to go through all this, but just to show you what is out there. People have asked, will it be a retractable roof? No, it's not going to be a retractable roof. That's been stated quite a bit. No retractable roof. However, it's going to be a translucent roof. It's going to give you kind of a greenhouse effect. Think Minnesota Vikings, maybe SoFi Stadium. Think places like that where you're going to see sunlight coming in. So, it's going to feel outdoorsy, especially on those nice days when they open up the glass doors to let some of that outside air flow in. But it's going to be inside, so you're not going to have to watch a game in the snow. Although some people would love to see that. Um, you know, Rain, or, when it's extremely hot. Although I will kind of argue that, greenhouses are not cold. So we'll see how the HVAC is going to be in there. It's funny, you have some people who are just so negative. This guy right here says, RFK 2.0, laugh out loud, you're a joke. Trump has called for this to be named after him, and Trump has a great relationship with Commander's owner. Um, I've heard this, and people have asked me in the comments, like, haven't heard anything about Trump and naming this after him. It's not going to be named after Donald Trump. Um, excuse me. As much as I don't know how political Josh Harris is, I don't know which way he leans. Some people think he is a Trump supporter. Some other people think he's just playing them. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care. It's not a political channel. I'm just saying, I don't think in the long run, number one, if you're going to name it after somebody, I think RFK Stadium, just like it was named before, would be great. But at the same time, I'm not sure if they'll actually name it RFK, because they make millions upon millions of dollars off of naming rights. Like, it's the reason why the stadium up in Maryland right now is Northwest Stadium. Northwest pays them millions of dollars for that naming rights. Same thing with FedEx when it was FedEx Stadium. When it was Jack Kent Cooke Stadium for about a year or two, no money, zero. So it's as far as a business standpoint, it's not the best thing to, you know, just name these after political figures, especially someone as polarizing as what Donald Trump may be. You know, doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, you agree that you either love them or you hate them. And so, that being said, I think that if you are going to keep it named after a past political figure, and it was named RFK before you would name it RFK, maybe the new RFK. And I think maybe it may have that name unofficially, but I think officially it will probably likely still have. I don't know if they will stick with Northwest. I mean, it's 5 years from now, 4 years from now, actually now. So I don't know if they'll stick with that. I think that the naming, I'd have to go look in the contract, but I'm not sure if Northwest had a contract with them up until that point. I think it was maybe just for that stadium. So they may be looking at new investors for the stadium name, but I have a feeling it will probably be RFK Stadium by something, you know, RFK Stadium by Verizon or RFK Stadium by Northwest or whatever it is. I bet it will probably kind of be something like that so that that company still has naming rights, although they may be willing to say, since this is kind of a historical thing and it's obviously in DC, we'll give you kind of a subtitle of RFK Stadium, but it will be the whole campus, the whole thing will actually be officially named this other thing. So that will be something that will be kind of interesting to kind of figure out as well if you're really into all of the news. Now I know that a lot of people just want to talk football, but this is a very important part of this franchise. For years, this franchise has wanted to have a new stadium, and for years, really, honestly, uh, a, there's been a lot of fans who have wanted the team to be back in the heart of DC, where we all felt they belong. Now, of course, then you also had fans from Maryland who insisted, no, the team needs to stay in Maryland. You have a lot of us who are from Virginia, North Carolina now, but I lived in Virginia, big. So that's reason why I became a big Redskins fan. And, we felt we've never had a professional football team in Virginia. It would be nice to have Washington Commanders, Redskins, whatever, maybe, because I still feel like they might be called something else. I think they're going to try their best to keep with the Commander moniker. But I think, if they had an opportunity to slide into another name that would be a little bit more, closer to what it was before without actually being Redskins, I think they would consider it. And it may be that that's the best time to do it is when you have a new stadium, have a new name, but it's going to, we love having odes back to the old stuff. That's going to be as close as we get. So I don't know. We'll talk about that. Hopefully, if I'm on here for another 5 years, we'll be talking about that leading up to the opening of the stadium. So good stuff. Again, go on Twitter, find Tom Shad, and you'll be able to see the doc that you can download and read up on all of the stadium news that you want to. But I'm excited. I probably won't be able to afford to go because prices on those tickets are outrageous. But with this being built, and of course they're talking about a spear in Maryland. I mean, you get some pretty cool stuff coming here to the East Coast. So, if I have an opportunity to go to a game there and have the money, I'm going to go. I'll never be able to afford season tickets unless I really hit it big. Unless you guys bring in millions and millions of viewers, and please, I need all the help. So if you want to do that, build this thing up to the biggest sports podcast ever, then yeah, definitely. I'll buy I'll buy season tickets then. But until then, It's just kind of a dream, but I do want to see them in a new stadium. I want to see them back in DC. Um, and I just want to try to get back to some glory days. I think that's overall, that's what we all hope for with this franchise. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it got a little long, but I love talking about the stadium. That said, I'll see you in the next one.